Knights, one of my favorite classes of enemies within the Soulsborne series. The sheer amount of creativity and originality when it comes to the design of these knights are absolutely incredible. And as someone who adores
I hate this channel.
creature and character design, I decided to make a video talking about the amazing aesthetics of these knights, mentioning their armor and weapons, along with some lore and my personal opinion of my favorite knights within the franchise. Now, I was going to split this video into the enemies and boss knights, but it would have been way too long of a video, so instead, I'll be only talking about the enemy knights in this video, and in a separate video, I'll be talking about, I don't know what I'm going to title it yet, but let's say my top 10 favorite boss knights in the Soulsborne series. Something like that. But hopefully by the end of this video, you will know the definition of a knight and my favorites within the whole bunch, that are pretty much based purely on their design and weapons. It's pretty much a combination of a ranking video based on design, mixed in with some information that ties these fanciful warriors of justice or injustice into the real world of knighthood. So without further ado, fellow friends and family, my name is Josh, and I hope you enjoy the video. So let us first answer the question, what is technically a knight, or what makes a knight? There are many ways to answer this question, but when it comes to the knights within the Soulsborne series, that answer is, simply put, a soldier or a warrior that fights for his lord, which in turn fights for his king. Basically, someone who fights for a higher up. Now, knights usually follow a code and are devout followers of whoever they serve, and within the medieval ages, this was something called a code of chivalry, which, ironic enough, chivalry in French, which is something I can't pronounce, it basically means knight. So yeah, it makes a full circle. These codes would require certain behavior from these knights, such as brave actions within the midst of combat, showing respect to the poor or women, and more. Now, within the universe of Dark Souls, the code of chivalry doesn't really apply to every single knight, but we can start in a place where it does. The Millwood Knights. These knights essentially fought to protect and serve the earth itself, with their weapons channeling the power of the earth itself. Some variations show this power with shock arrows and slamming the ground with their hammers, causing shockwaves. It kind of reminds me of that one guy from Avatar: The Last Airbender who used his hammers to earthbend. The Millwood Knights are pretty much that guy. They were chased out of their lands by an abyssal dragon. Could have been Calamite, could have been Midir, we don't really know, but basically that's the reason why they're in the painted world of Ariandel, which is pretty cool. And when it comes to their designs, I love the huge, bulky Viking aspect to them. I love it. I don't know. I've always adored the Viking designs, and I think it's really well put when it comes to the Millwood Knights. And then we have the Corvian Knights. I always love a combination of two things. And that's if they're done correctly, obviously. And when it comes to these guys, their design is really good. Very sleek and slim, but sharp and cunning at the same time. Now, you probably have seen them attack their own weaker kind when first traveling through the rotting village, and this is because the Corvian Knights, when Sister Fried arrived, they basically chose to serve her with the utmost loyalty, including slaughtering their own kind if they interfered with spreading the rot of this world. Which is kind of dark, but hey, it's Dark Souls. Pontiff Sullivan. Nobody likes this guy. He's pretty much a tyrant and transforms innocent people into mindless beasts. I mean, at least they look cool, like Vort and Dancer, but there's also the Boreal Outrider Knights. Now, at first, and actually, you know what, no. To this day, I still hate these knights. I just hate them. I hate fighting them. I do like the design a lot, but I just hate going up against them. Just like the two bosses, these knights were given rings by Pontiff that bestowed their minds locked in everlasting combat, which basically made them go insane, transforming them into mindless warriors. It's a pretty sad story for these knights, but I don't feel bad because they're really annoying. The rings also have this tendency, just like with Vort and Dancer, to warp their appearance into a more, I guess I would put it, a beastly posture, which is an interesting and rarely seen position, you know, especially for a knight. Their straight sword, although not really a good weapon, looks really cool. No pun intended. Honestly, everything about these knights, they're just really crisp. And then we have Havel the Rock. I guess you could say that his design is, rock solid. Anyways, Havel the Rock was actually a close friend with Lord Gwyn himself, who raised a small clan of knights and soldiers that would carve out armor made of pure and solid rock. I don't know about you guys, but that's really unique. I love that idea. And while using the ring that Havel made, basically their equipment load was pretty light, so they could use their equipment without any burdens. Now, when it comes to the design, armor made out of rock really isn't something you see every day, so that gets points in my book. and I actually thought about making a video about the practicality of Havel's armor since it's really unique. I love the idea behind it. I know that metal has a higher density, but imagine a thick layer of rock around you. Now, obviously, without the mobility problems, would it actually be effective in combat? If you guys want a video like that, I'll be more than happy to, give a shot at it. But yeah, definitely one of the more unique knights within the franchise. The infamous Dark Wraith Knights, servants of the Four Kings in Dark Souls 1. But after, Koth, I don't know how to pronounce that, taught these knights the way of the Dark Hand, which sounds really dirty. They were feared to be too powerful, so the only option, I guess, was to flood the entire city in which they resided in. Regardless, it's actually a pretty cool backstory. I love that. And if you're curious about the Dark Wraiths in Dark Souls 3, there really is no, big explanation. Basically, in the time of Lothric, the last remaining few took shelter in Faerun Keep. That's pretty much it. Now, when it comes to their design, you really can't go wrong with a skeleton knight that has dark powers, and the way they executed the design was pretty spot on. Even though Dark Souls 1 had a very awkward design from my perspective, Dark Souls 3 had a major improvement, so that's what I'm counting in this video. And just like the Dark Wraiths, we have the Pontiff Knights. I mean, you really can't go wrong with combining knights with skeletons. A nice little addition is the Pope hat that they wear, which is really weird but interesting at the same time. It doesn't really say why they're wearing that hat or why they have this religious aspect to their design, but maybe it's sort of loosely based around their respect and maybe worship towards Pontiff. I mean, I really don't know. Now, there are a couple of variations to these knights, my favorite being the more common sword and shield version, because, not gonna lie, I do not like the scythe version. He guards the boss gate and he just doesn't let you through. At least my first time playing through the game, I just couldn't get past him, so I have an undenying hatred towards that one. I mean, overall, I didn't really like these knights when I first started because they were ultra aggressive and I could not tell when their combos would finish. I mean, right now they're no problem, but still, it was pretty annoying. But regardless, the ghostly blue religious skeleton knight design is amazing. And then we have the Iron Warrior. Even though they are technically called warriors, the only difference between a warrior and a knight is that a knight follows a code of conduct and is treated with more respect. A warrior is more like a soldier in the sense that they don't have any special treatment. But these guys are certainly something special. Somehow, with no head, these guys manage to be the more intimidating enemies within the game. I mean, that could also be because they are huge, roughly 3 times the size of our character. They also have these huge clubs called the Smelter Hammer, and after certain attacks, lava pours from one of their shoulders. Although incredibly annoying at some times, I'm not gonna lie, it is a really nice mechanic. Ironically, the helmet is usually the main attraction of a knight or a warrior's armor, but the Iron Warrior managed to be roughly in the middle of the pack when it comes to my favorites with that one. It's pretty cool. And then we have the Mastodon Knights, or I guess Primal Knights if you want to be technical, but they're Mastodons. Now, when I first saw these guys, I instantly fell in love with their design. It's pretty much a huge mastodon, which if you don't know is an ancient elephant pretty much, that stands upright, wearing armor and holding a halberd. Now that's incredibly creative. What's cool about these knights though is that they were actually created by King Vendrick using a forbidden spell, and that forbidden spell was discovered by none other than Aldia, which is the king's brother. I don't really know how they're, related, but I don't really question it. Besides that, there really is not much more information that I can tell you about. I mean, they're just cool elephant knights. Who doesn't love that? Many have suffered greatly by the corrosive powers of the Abyss, and the Herald Legion Knights are no different. Ill-prepared, they sought out the Dark Soul, but they were consumed by the Abyss, their heads being replaced by a mass of humanity and bloated to unfathomable proportions. Now covered in dead branches and chains, these empty shells now attack any invaders that come close to their territory. I don't really know what it is, but their design is amazing. I don't know why, but I absolutely adore it. This idea of bloating a regular knight into a grotesque mass of darkness, I don't know, I just love that design choice. And just like the Iron Warriors, they have no head, but rather a mass of humanity as stated earlier. And I think that actually works better than giving it some sort of helmet, because with that huge, round, body, whatever, I don't really see a good helmet shape fitting with that design. I feel like it works better without a helmet. I've noticed that when it comes to really big and gross creatures, I instantly admire their design. I don't know why, but I seem to associate creativity with these types of designs. Not saying that any other type of design isn't creative, but I guess I have sort of a preference for these type of gross creatures, hence why I love Bloodborne, Blasphemous, and the Herald Legion Knight. Definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite knight in the entire Dark Souls franchise. And then we have the Lionclad Warriors. Considering they appeared out of nowhere, not much is really known about these beastmen or their origins. However, since they are capable of crafting and are quite aware of their horrid appearance, it seems that they were once human. What's interesting though is that they harbor a religious symbol on their shields, but nobody really knew what gods they worshipped, although during the time of Lothric, this symbol was associated with a mad god or god of war in other regions, which can only mean one thing: they worshipped Kratos. Okay, but seriously, all jokes aside though, who doesn't love lion warriors? That's such a cool concept, and the increased size of their manes, bulky upper body, it just fits so well. Not to mention that they kind of remind me, I can't remember, I'll put a picture up, but it reminds me of this clan in Yu-Gi-Oh! On the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. But I used to love those cards as a kid. I probably still have some. I have like a huge drawer full of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Yeah, there is a special variant though, where they actually have the color of a lion, and that's what made me want to put these guys in this video. Unfortunately, they don't respawn, so I couldn't really get any footage of them, but you get my point. A not so surprising fan favorite, the Ringed Knights are certainly one of a kind, even though they look a lot like Dark Wraiths, but whatever. Now you're probably wondering where those dragon shields came from, because when I first saw these guys, I instantly fell in love with that shield design. And it turns out these knights assisted Gwyn against the dragons, which explains their shields being the head of the ancient wyverns. Unfortunately though, for some reason, these knights were not given any recognition for their success in the war. I don't know why, but I guess they didn't really want to give them credit. So because of this, they now serve the dark, and their equipment was actually forged within the abyss itself. And even though having a close proximity with the dark, they're actually not corrupted. Perhaps because of the gods who blessed them with the seal of fire, which explains the fire affinity on their weapons. And also why they look like they're embered, such as when we use one, you know, our clothes turns all fiery and whatnot. Anyways, one of my favorite knights. Absolutely. Especially the dual-wielding greatsword variant. I mean, not only do they look awesome, but they are so much fun to use when I want to simply mess around. The greatsword's not the actual knight itself. But no, these knights are definitely, like, top-notch. Now, the Imperious Knights are something with a more interesting concept. The armor looks really good, I'm not saying that. I actually really like the armor. But it's their huge door shields that really sold it for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've never seen it before, like a huge door as a shield or what, I don't know. But I think it's one of my favorite weapons within the entire franchise. Even though I know it's like a meme weapon, it's not that strong, I know that. I just love the creativity. Interestingly enough, these door knockers were actually invading the crypt a long time ago, but they were slaughtered by the Grave Wardens, another enemy type, and the Wardens actually used their souls to enhance the protection within the crypt. Hence why you only encounter these knights within the undead crypt. Pretty cool backstory. Of course, the Black Knights were going to be on this list. I mean, come on, everybody loves these knights, right? I mean, if you don't, that's fine. It's simply your opinion. I don't really, blame you for that.
You're just wrong.
So these knights were high servants of the Lord of Cinder Gwyn, who accompanied him to the kiln of the First Flame, but were unfortunately burnt to ash, with only their spirits roaming the lands and guarding key locations in Dark Souls 3. I mean, an original knight that you simply can't go wrong with. I love the color black, it's one of my favorite colors, or I guess absence of colors, I don't know. But basically, I love the color black, and the devilish look these guys have, one of my favorites for sure. And last but certainly not least, we have the Dragon Knights. So these dragons are a part of a covenant that respects an honorable duel, hence why they don't attack you immediately, and if you defeat the Drake Keepers, they will remain passive unless provoked. I mean, that's something as far as I know, no other enemy in the franchise has, and it really speaks to their character. Also, an interesting detail I actually found in my research, it seems that these knights use the scales and the tail of a long-deceased dragon, and wouldn't you know it, that dragon was Calamite, one of the best bosses in Dark Souls 1. The sheer gold appeal mixed with the black fabric and chainmail beneath, I mean, that cannot be beat. And also, they are dragon warriors. They literally have armor inspired by the design of dragons. I mean, what more do you want? Easily one of my favorite knights ever. To give you guys some clarity, I think number 3 would be the Imperious Knight, number 2 is the Dragon Knight, and then number 1 is the Herald Legion Knight. For my 3 favorite knights, so that we're not confused. The rest of them are in order, though. I know that was a little bit out of order, but I wanted to change that last minute, so yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching today's video. So, yeah, I really enjoyed doing this, and, well, the next video that I want to post is about my top 10 favorite knight bosses, or boss knights, in the Soulsborne series, and then I'll probably work on the next group, like demons or dragons or something else, I don't know. But definitely we have some categories to look at. Also, if you want that Havel the Rock theory, I guess, idea for a video, let me know in the comment section down below. And please, feel free to tell me about your favorite knights. I would love to hear about that. But above all else, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed and to subscribe for more content like this. And I'll see you in the next video.